Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. I'm Hannah, I'm the Community Navigator and I'm a charity consultant supporting organisations to say yes to the mess, change lives and maximise impact of the work that they're doing. So this is number 1 webinar of the Can Masterclass series that I'll be running across July, September and October. So it's really nice to see you all here today and thank you for joining. So the first webinar session that we're going to cover and the topic is really thinking about why vision and mission is really crucial for organisational success. So there's lots to talk through today, but before we do, just wanted to give you a little bit more about me. So I am Hannah. I do say yes to the mess, ensuring charities grasp opportunities and make their vision a reality, delivering maximum impact and changing lives. So I am a charity consultant, mainly working for charities, but I also do a lot of work for not-for-profits and purpose-led organisations. And I really support organisations to really understand their organisational effectiveness and resilience, really help to map their strategic direction and navigate what that means and what that looks like, develop sustainability and income generation plans. As you'll all know right now, we're in a really big squeeze from a kind of financial perspective, and empowering you to make operational delivery responsive. So really helping organisations understand what the kind of operating models and the key to the success of those operating models to deliver that strategic intent. So as I said, we have got quite a lot to go through today. Okay, so we're going to kick off in a few seconds to discuss what is organisational vision, what's the key to success of delivering that. We're going to go through what is the difference between vision and mission. There is a difference. Okay, we're then going to move on to why the cultural aspect of setting a vision mission is really important to deliver really good cultural conditions within organisations and getting people's hearts and minds on side of the direction of travel. We're then going to go through some tools to get you started, okay? Actually how you design your visions and your missions for your organisations. Then I'm going to give you some examples of the good, the bad and the ugly, okay? Some really well-known organisations, companies and brands. They don't do some of the vision and mission stuff great either. So really going to give you some examples of what that looks like. And then hopefully at the end, if we've got some time for questions, we'll cover that off too. So first things first then, what is organisational vision? Okay, so a vision for an organisation is the anchor point. Okay, it's really important to have an organisational vision because it sets the direction and the destination point for what you want to deliver in the future. For those of you who are charities on the call today, it's really important that this is an ambitious statement, but it's also future focused. Okay, it should be one of those big, hairy, audacious statements that defines what you stand for and the reasons that you exist. This should be the more ambitious, the better. Okay. And what you should really think about is once your vision is complete, that actually the need for your organisation no longer exists. That's how ambitious that it should be. Okay. So if you think about some really good examples as for organisational visions, the RNLI, for example, their vision is to end all loss at life at sea. Okay, huge bold statement and a huge ambition to kind of deliver not only the rescue but also the prevention interventions that would be required to do that. But most importantly, a vision is something that is exciting. It should keep you motivated and also point the right direction to run the organisation effectively. Okay. And when you think about your vision, there should be a golden thread that runs through all of your kind of objectives and what you do in your day-to-day activities to what you're trying to achieve in the future. If it doesn't, you need to realign it. Okay. So moving on then, I'm going to now talk you through the difference between vision and mission. Okay, so as I said, a mission statement is an organisational goal for the future. It's what a company or an organisation wants to be. It's the strategic direction that it will follow, and it gives the kind of long-term intention of how it's going to achieve those goals. Like I said, the vision statement promotes innovation, creativity, growth, and inspiration. That hairy, audacious, and lofty goal that will deliver the maximum impact for the beneficiaries that you're working with. But a mission statement refers to and outlines present activity. Okay, it answers the questions about what the organisation does, the beneficiaries it seeks, and the services it provides and how it serves them. This statement is about what you're doing now. Okay, and it really helps to motivate your teams to work with partners more effectively in terms of collaboration, to sync and achieve your activities and present day work to achieve that united goal. So fundamentally, the big difference is vision is about the future and the mission is about what you're doing now in the present, those activities to reach those future goals that you've set in the vision. Okay. It's really important to also remember that your mission might change over time. Okay, so as activities and sequencing of activities changes and develops and you achieve more things, that might mean that the work that you have to do in your mission to achieve your vision has to change. Okay, that's absolutely fine. And I would be expecting that your missions change over time as you develop your work. But it's really important to remember that both vision and mission statements should communicate your fundamental purpose. And you really should be answering those three questions on the bottom right of why you exist, who you serve, and how you serve them. So we're going to move on now, if that's okay, to thinking about how vision and mission is really, really important to thinking about the culture of the organisation. Okay, and I always talk about culture in two ways: hearts and minds. Okay, so people are really, really invested in organisations that you generally are kind of representing today. A lot of the charity sector, community, not for profit, people want to do good and they are driven by that emotive response of doing good, and that's in their heart. Okay. But vision and mission provide clarity and steering on those emotional responses to what organisations are trying to deliver. In essence, they are plotting and providing almost the goals, the objectives, and the steer of where you're trying to head. Okay, so both are intrinsically linked in terms of actually how you develop and deliver really, really good cultures across different organizations. So remembering hearts and minds is really, really key. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of rewind, okay, to talk you through kind of the 5 key pillars to strong organizational culture. Okay, and you'll see that having a clear vision and values is at the top of that. Okay. So your vision and your values act as the organization's compass, okay? The guiding behavior, decision making, and overall trajectory. They clarify what you represent. It is the kind of basis of your strategy to reach objectives. And it's essential that staff and volunteers comprehend and they resonate with the principles that you've set around your vision and your values, okay? And they kind of then use them to drive their work, their objectives, and eventually kind of unify and deliver really efficient teams. Okay, so it's really important that you have that really kind of golden thread that runs from the very, very top of your organization in terms of your values, your vision, and your mission, all the way down to what people are doing on a day-to-day basis in terms of their actual activity. Okay, and it's really important that they see that too. Okay, so actually being able to really describe how the work that they're delivering delivers against the kind of vision and mission and values of the organization is really, really critical. Okay. So if you take an example of that, okay, at shelter, so I used to work with housing rights workers who used to deliver housing advice to people, okay, and the vision of the organisation was that actually shelter would defend the right to a safe home. Okay, so if you think about actually the kind of gap between what they're doing and the organisational vision, it's quite huge in terms of actually all of the structures that sit within the organisation, but also kind of the actual day-to-day work. Um, and what we kind of did and how we described their work was that actually they were, by working with individuals who were experiencing the housing emergency, they were gathering evidence and insight that would drive our ability to call for politicians and policymakers to make change in legislation that would drive the right to defend the safe home through better legislation, more social housing, for example. So it's really important that all of that kind of draws from the very, very bottom, so the very, very kind of bottom layers of your organisation, all the way to the very top. Okay. And then the other kind of four key areas of organisational culture, just to be aware of for reference, is around having open communication. Okay, so being really, really transparent with people. Now, there's kind of a risk with that, all right, in terms of sometimes you can only be as transparent as you possibly can be if you're holding a leadership role, but being as transparent as you possibly can with people and providing clarity. Okay, really having good team recognition and appreciation. Okay, um, little thank you emails, all of that type of stuff is really, really important, and it's as important, and I think more important, to be really honest, to recognise the good work that people are doing rather than correcting the wrong work that people are doing. Okay, people remember that much more. Having learning and development opportunities. Okay, so really, really making sure that within the organisation there are opportunities for people to move up and progress within the organisation. Or if that isn't possible, because it's not always possible everywhere, thinking about how you give people much more well-rounded experiences within the workplace through sideways moves, for example, or project work that will then help them move further forward, even if that's not within your organisation now. Okay, so how do you give them that step up? And finally, well-being and work-life balance. Okay, so COVID taught us a lot about practices, working practices, what that needs to look like, and I think we've kind of moved forward a lot of the good work from COVID. All right, but it's really, really important to recognise that people's lives are really important and work is just a very, very small part of it. And what is that balance? Yes, people need to be accountable for their roles, but really making sure that there's a good balance between that working and well-being. Okay, so this slide was really just to highlight the real importance of how having a clear vision, mission and values is really kind of central to that building of organizational culture. Okay, I'm going to move on a little bit, okay, because I also want to just give you another kind of few little kind of hints and tips around how also having that vision and mission is really, really important for driving other elements of work within the organisation. So I've spoken a lot about kind of direction, but I really wanted to think about direction in relation to actually organizational performance. Okay, so if you have a really, really clear vision and a really, really clear mission, what that allows you to do is align everything to those overarching goals. Okay, so really start to think about the bigger picture pieces of work, and that doesn't allow you to then get caught up in the shorter term performance of your organization. So by aligning everything back to that kind of really core vision and mission statements, you are absolutely setting yourself on a trajectory that is looking at the future, but those overarching goals, rather than getting bogged down in the minutiae detail of kind of operating level. It really helps you to say no to stuff. Okay, so I think as a sector, if you're working in the voluntary or charitable sector, a lot of the time you want to do everything. Okay, you want to do everything, you want to help everyone, and that leads to really, really I think extensive scope creep for a lot of organizations. by having that real clarity about this is where we're going and this is why we're doing it, allows you to keep heading there, and saying no to the stuff that gives kind of you distractions. Okay, and it's absolutely okay to say no. And in the next masterclass series around strategy, we'll be talking a lot about the power of saying no. Okay, but that is absolutely dependent on having that clear vision and mission. Okay. It also provides you with a really, really good kind of steer around measuring success and accountability. Okay, so that mission statements that you create will be the basis of your measures. Okay, and your core organizational objectives. Okay, you absolutely will know that you're succeeding when your beneficiaries, services, and actions align with your mission. Okay. And I would challenge everyone, okay, today to take the Impact Accelerator Challenge after this call and see how you guys actually fare in your organizations to do that. Okay. And it's also really important because it keeps you accountable for the goals that you've set. Okay. And it's really, really important as we kind of work with beneficiaries, we work with different kind of community stakeholders to be really clear about what they can expect from you, the standards that they can expect, the services that they can expect you to provide. Okay. And it allows you to be accountable to not only yourself, but to them. Okay. And manages expectations. The kind of the third sector and the charity sector and the not-for-profit, I think, is going through a really, really interesting time right now. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see I've blogged quite a lot in the last few weeks about the general election this week. And actually the role of charities are currently bridging the gap in services that the government should be providing. And actually this really makes me think about that those kind of measures of success and ensuring accountability, because when we start to see more and more services come offline because of funding issues, charities closing, gaps in service provision from the government, that is when we start to try and fill those gaps and our kind of mission creep starts to happen. If you have really, really clear objectives set from your mission, that will allow you to be accountable to yourself organizationally about why you're doing those things and how you're doing them. And as I said, the power of saying no is really, really strong. And I know it goes against all of our kind of internal human characteristics to say no to things, but it's really, really important because resources are scarce and you need to really deliver organizational success by driving and being really specific about what you do. Okay, so really using that vision and mission to build those kind of objectives will really help you with that kind of scope creep moving forward. Okay. So another couple of things, okay, to really mention around kind of organizational success and using vision and mission to drive that. It really, really aids recruitment and retention. Okay. Um, so when a potential employee is trying to learn about your company, your organization, they will absolutely navigate the About Us section on your website. Okay. It's really, really important that you have clarity around your vision and mission on the website. So actually people can get on board before they've even submitted an application around culture, values and beliefs. Okay. You will absolutely almost do quite a lot of selection, pre-selection of people applying if you have that information, and you'll start to weed out the people that don't align with your vision and mission. Okay. And when you kind of start to then think about, well, what does that look in real life? There was a survey in America of 50,000 not-for-profit organizations. Okay. So it's quite a lot last year. And it showed that actually when they had when there was vision and mission driven leadership, okay, so that is senior leaders really, really driving and displaying and role modeling their behaviors through the vision and mission, that it encouraged team to have organizational contributions viewed more broadly from staff members, higher productivity, right? People felt empowered to make decisions and deliver off their own kind of back. they stayed with their current employer, and you guys will absolutely know the cost of recruitment and actually gaps in service provision. It built more proactive kind of safe working spaces, okay? Psychological safety and people being safe at work is really, really important. And it also built connections with customers and clients. Okay, so I can't stress the importance enough of really being clear throughout your recruitment process, on your website, through your objectives, team meetings, the general kind of, I guess, drumbeat of your organisational delivery on a day-to-day basis, using your vision and mission to drive that is really, really important. Okay. So I'll give you a little example, right? So at Shelter, one of the kind of core values was about being brave and being bold, okay, and taking risks and being ambitious, all right? I led, before I left the organisation, a huge cost saving programme. Not very popular, as you can imagine. There was about £8.3 million worth of cost savings that had to be made in a year. So it was significant, all right? I used those values and those kind of mission statements about being brave, being bold, and making like really tough choices to center the communication around that cost saving program. Okay. That actually really anchored the work, although it was very unpopular, into the organisation's DNA. And that really, really helped people understand and get on board of why the changes were necessary, and that actually this was about the organisation living and breathing that on a daily basis. Okay, so it was a really good example about how you make something that's not that popular almost more palatable and accepted by really driving it through the vision and mission of the organisation. Okay, so really something to think about as you're moving forward. Okay, so moving on then, thinking about then how actually all of the workplace cultures align with the key pillars. Okay, I'm not going to go into this in detail, all right, because you can get it after the the meeting's finished today, but it just kind of starts to refine down, okay, some of the things that I've been talking about in more details, and just gives you a sentence to describe it. Okay, and these, you know, I have these actually on my wall in my office, because actually it really helps me when I'm working with organisations to think about those cultural pillars and actually how they need to be front and centre of any organisational redesign, any strategy build, for example, or income generation plans that I'm supporting. Okay, so it's a really, really nice one slider, just reminder of the things that you need to consider as part of those kind of cultures. Okay. So I'm going to move on now because I'm conscious of time and I want to make sure we've got a little bit of time for questions at the end. Okay, and we've only got 45 minutes today. I want to give you a little bit of a few tools to get you started on how you create kind of visions and missions and a bit of a framework. Okay, there are more tools available on my website, guys. So after the meeting, there was all the links on this presentation. So please feel free to go through there, download what you need, print it off, scribble on it. They're all there. They're all free for you to download. Okay. But just some kind of first hints and tips. Okay. The first one is don't take yourself too seriously. All right. And that might be easier said than done. All right. But if you think about my vision is about saying yes to the mess. Okay. It's very light-hearted. It's kind of an easy phrase to remember. Okay. And people get it. Okay. When you work in the third sector, when you work in the charity sector, a lot of people, when I was designing kind of my brand, they said, it's just a bit of a mess. I just don't know how to organize all of this stuff. There's lots of things coming at me, but there's capacity issues here. I just need someone to help me sort the mess. Okay. So the yes to the mess was born in terms of my vision statement. Okay. So it's really, really important. Don't take yourself too seriously. Okay. The best mission statements are infused with humanity and reflect your organization's personality. Okay. So it's absolutely okay to have something that's a little bit tongue in cheek. All right. And don't take yourself too seriously. The next one is around making it unique and powerful. Okay. So it's really, really important to recognize actually how you create power. So in my vision statement, I have something about changing people's lives. Okay. That's quite a powerful thing. I help organizations change people's lives. Okay. So every organization, and what I would say is a watch point on this, every organization wants to be a leader in something, all right? But using that term is just too common, okay? And it falls flat, all right? People say, I want to be a leader in this. And you will see on some of these examples that I've got on the good, bad, and the ugly, the amount that that word is used. It is cringe, all right? Please try and avoid using the word leader because it just falls flat and actually it's too commonplace, all right? And the final thing, keep your statements as short as you can, all right? You should be able to say it in a sentence without drawing breath, okay? Because people can then remember that, all right? So think about it as a bit of an elevator pitch, okay? So if you're not familiar with an elevator pitch, you're stood in an elevator, you've got 30 seconds to get from the bottom floor to the top floor, and you're with a kind of top performing CEO of a huge organization, and you've got to sell yourself in those 30 seconds. Having something that's really, really short, really, really to the point, and you can say really quickly and people remember it is absolutely paramount of importance. So brevity is absolutely your friend, all right? Do not try and shoehorn everything into those visions and mission statements, okay? Because it won't work. All you will do is create really, really long, convoluted things and you won't remember them yourselves, okay? So being able to remember it yourself is super important, okay? So thinking about then a bit of a framework of how you devise this, okay, this is something that I've come up with in the last kind of few months when I've been working with some organisations as a bit of a kind of starter, okay. So the if you're a new organisation, okay, and you don't have a vision and mission statement, all right, there's a tool on my website called the Intention Framework, okay. Download that because that will help you start from the very, very beginning, okay. There's 7 questions on there and it gives you kind of a ladder to work through that will be able to set your intention, all right. If you already have a vision or a mission statement, okay, this is a really, really helpful tool to review it, okay, to think about, is it fit for purpose? Okay, so you've got kind of 6 boxes on screen. First box is when we do our best work in the next 12 months, it looks like this, okay? So brain dumping everything that you know about that into that box, do that, okay? Next box, okay, the amazing impact we have on our beneficiaries and the wider sector is, again, brain dumping everything that comes to mind there, okay? And then finally, the people that enable us to do the best work are, okay, again, brain dumping everything that you've got in there. It's really, really good to do this as part of a kind of wider team, okay? So kind of have lots of different team members doing this. Once you've got all of those, in the green boxes below, try and create a compelling almost statement that sums up all of those boxes, okay? What you then should be able to pull out from there is a vision and a mission statement for your organization, okay? Really, really simple tool. Have a go at it and see if it works for you, all right? Okay, conscious time. So going to move on to the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right. So I've just picked off some vision and mission statements that I have found online and some that I really like from doing this type of thing. Okay. First one is American Express. Okay. So the vision statement for American Express is become essential to all our customers by providing differentiated products and services to help them achieve their aspirations. Okay. Mission statement, we work hard every day to make American Express the world's most respected service brand. Okay. Couple of things on this one. I think vision statement, I don't know what some of that even means. Okay. So really thinking about that, actually differentiated products. I don't know what that means. Okay. So something to think about when you're reading these back. American Express know what that means, but does a customer know what that means? Okay. Mission statement is a little bit better in terms of we work hard every day to make American Express the most respected service brand. Okay. Service brand, I don't know what that means. Okay. But they have started to use some simple language in terms of working hard every day. Okay. So it's really, really important when you're designing these to think about the audience that are receiving it. Do they actually understand what that means? Using layman's terms is absolutely key. No jargon. Why say 10 words when you could say one? Okay, keep it really, really short, all right, and keep it really, really simple. If you think it sounds too simple, it's absolutely perfect, okay, because people will be able to understand it really, really quickly, okay. Next one, okay, is Tesla. Okay, so they have got as their vision statement to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by providing the world's transition to electric vehicles. Okay, mission statement to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport by bringing compelling mass market electric cars to market as soon as possible. Okay, mission statement too long, too wordy. Okay, the word market is in there twice and it gets you tongue tied. Okay. Um, to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport, okay, you could say that in a much more simple way. Bring more, bring electric cars to the market. Okay, really, really think about what you're saying. Vision statement is not too bad, okay, because it is audacious. It is kind of that kind of big, hairy goal that they want to create. But again, it's very, very I think jargony. It's very corporate. Okay. So just think about that as you're moving forward and you're trying to define yours. Okay, and then we finally have Spotify, which is the ugliest of this one. Okay, when I read this, I didn't even know what it meant. Okay, so mission statement to unlock the potential of human creativity by giving 1 million creative artists the opportunity to live off their art and billions of fans the opportunity to enjoy and be inspired by these creators. I can't say that in one breath. Okay, I don't even know what that means. All right. Um, hugely, hugely complex piece of work. Their vision statement gets even worse. We envisage a cultural platform where professional creators can break free of their medium's constraints and where everyone can enjoy an immersive artistic experience that enables us to empathize with each other and feel part of a greater whole. Hugely, hugely complex, all right? And actually, I just think Spotify, you can download stuff. Like that is simply what they do. You can download stuff for free or on a paid platform. Really, really makes to talk about kind of over kind of complexing a statement. It's really, really important to keep it really, really simple. And mediums constraints. I don't even know what that means. Okay. So this is the ugliest statement. So if you ever want to look at kind of where people are getting it wrong, there are big brands that are getting this wrong. Okay, it really needn't be. It's really about keeping it simple and short. Okay, and that one does give me a laugh, so sometimes I do come back to that every now and again. All right, I'm going to wrap up because we've got 5 minutes left. Okay, so that's kind of it for the presentation today. So a huge, huge thank you. I'll stop sharing in a second so I can see you all. But here's a few links. Okay, so please take the Impact Accelerator Challenge. The link is on screen. It's free to use, and you get a report at the end of it that you can go through. Absolutely no problem on that. And there are accessing free resources on my website. So once you've done the Accelerator Challenge, you can then actually pick up on the website free resources to help you with some of the kind of outcomes that you've got. I am on LinkedIn. Please do give me a follow. It'd be great to connect with you guys. And my email address is below. And as Amy said, there is a drop in next week. So if anybody has any questions or wants to discuss any of this in more detail, because we've only got 5 minutes left now, please do drop in. I will be there for about an hour, I think, on that day, and happy to kind of talk you through anything in more detail. So I will stop sharing there.